Hey David, I just decided to put together a little YouTube thing. I don't think I would use this for the class, but it explains the slides. I'll send the slides separately. I use this first chart to explain how intuitive rendering of charts the chart should be intuitive. This one has too many lines on it, and it's sort of, the balance of exports from imports is sort of backwards. No, there's a balance in favor is going down instead of balance going up. Anyway, it's hard to understand. The second chart is much clearer. A lot of lines have been removed, which brings up the first point in Tufte, which is above all else show the data. And then point number 2, maximize the data to ink ratio. In other words, you want, it's just like language, you want as few words to communicate as much as possible. So as few lines to communicate as much as possible. And finally, erase non-data ink. So the comparison of slide 1 and 2 does this. Slide 3, it's basically points 2 and 3, where you can see how as it progresses from the left to the right, the charts get cleaner until finally you're just left with basically the data and the labeling and a scale that makes sense. Yeah. Slide 4. There was actually an in-between slide, and I can't find it at the moment. If I do, I'll send it along. But this is pretty good. It's like there's no chart junk that's in there. Or there's the data to ink ratio is high. Number 5 is actually, I like to show the, oh, I just had a collapse in here. I like to show this one because everything that is given in the Tufte examples, he says within reason. So like above all else show the data within reason. And here's one where you actually miss the trends by erasing too much. And this was an example of labeling inside, so actually adding a little bit helps provide a little more accessibility. I think it even says that right there in the chart. This one is a disaster according to Tufte. And one thing is, I guess they call them moire lines or whatever, where your eye kind of vibrates with the lines. But he calls this chart junk. In other words, why do you have all these like weird designs inside that detract from the information you're trying to communicate? And this is more chart junk, especially with all the lines. There are ways, I asked the students like how would they redesign this, and it worked out okay. Oops. Well, that's doing a little stutter there. Okay. This is just the, I don't know. You can go through this however you want. You could post it, retype it, whatever. I just thought it was kind of a good list that students can refer to. Those last 2 slides, 7 and 8, were actually good for, he calls that chart junk. He says eliminate it. And I also like the middle slides with the elements, the atomic number versus the atomic volume. I like that one because in a series it shows that, you know, you have to revise this stuff. Sometimes you go too far, sometimes you have, you know, not enough, and that works pretty well. And that's actually Tufte's, one of his points is that you have to actually revise and edit charts as well, just like you would language. All right, I hope this helps.